Get us going, Squire.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to our first MVP office hours of April. Thanks for joining us. As always, the four co-hosts are here to help as best we can, along with the rest of the community. Dale's on. This is Squire. Hopefully, Joy will be joining us later, and Jared, I believe, is quadruple booked, so he may not be able to join us, but all of our Twitter handles are available for questions and comments. And as always, you can use the success community and the MVPofficehours.info link to post questions and query about whatever you might have questions about when we're not here in the call. All the events in Salesforce outside of our purview are available at admin.salesforce.com, all events. Definitely check that regularly, not only because it's a great way to be aware of all the things that are going on, but also with all the postpones and virtuals and things that are going on, that's probably your best start to find out what the current state of your favorite local event might be. And the event calendar at Salesforce Cloud Services is always available as well. There's a lot of links there, of course, and then the one that's posted on the screen right now showing the upcoming April, May, and June events is just a quick summary of what we, I shouldn't say we, Joy was kind enough to do that work, identified as the most pressing items coming up. And make sure you join the Trailblazer groups and sign up for invites, and you can always just type, connect to the QuickDoc and see the virtual meetups.
And of course, it's important to follow these just with the ever fluid situation that is the world right now. We're obviously all optimistic that these events will continue to go as planned, but stay tuned because they're obviously updating.
Absolutely. So as a reminder, we meet every the first and third Friday of the month. The next one will be on the 17th. You can, sorry, I have too many screens up here. You can always register for the next or future events through the bit.ly link here on the slide deck. Slide decks are almost always available on the success community, and always use the hashtags for solve problems together and community learner, MVP office hours anytime you tweet, or if you're using success. And a couple guidelines for anyone who's new to the call: make sure that you stay on mute unless you want to share or have a question. If you do have a question, put your hand up or feel free to put it in the chat and we will go through them as quickly as possible. Always take a minute to announce yourself. The more contact we have, even virtually, is important to make sure that we can follow up on questions and get to know each other and really network and share. We will put everything we can into the slide deck and make sure that links and comments and any directions are available after the call. And finally, we can always share our screens to help. We do ask that you not share anything that is should not be shared with the greater world. So if you have a sandbox or a demo org or obfuscated data somewhere, that's always the best choice, but feel free to share if that helps explain the problem that you're having or the question you're trying to ask. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. You know what? Let's see how many MVPs are on the call right now. Put those hands up. Carlos, hey, well, I skipped past MVP Office Hours Portugal. I'm sorry. Carlos runs one of the best other MVP Office Hours in the world. You don't have to speak Portuguese to join, but it certainly doesn't hurt. And he is doing a great job down there. When's your next call, Carlos? Not available right now, but Joy made it.
April. Hello.
Hi. There we go. There's Carlos and Joy, but there's Carlos.
Myself mute. April the 30th.
The 30th. All right.
Yeah. Thank you.
You bet. And I saw a couple other new MVPs join the call as well, or at least one for sure.
Yes. Yes.
So, again, I'll reiterate, this is not a call about the MVPs helping you. It's about all of us helping each other. So don't hold back. If you've got thoughts, ideas, or comments about a question, feel free to pipe up and help out. So I think that gives us an opportunity to kick off right away with Jade, who beat us to the punch with her post in the group chat.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
We
We
can.
sure can.
Okay, do you want me just to read the question I posted or?
Yeah, that'd be great. That might be able to give us a little bit more color as you go through it.
Okay, so I'm using Einstein Analytics and Inbox. So we have emails that automatically stream from Outlook to Salesforce because, you know, it's synced through Inbox. So there is out of box an Einstein activities dashboard in Einstein Analytics. And when I try to embed that into a custom tab that I have, so it's not on an object, it's not like an opportunity tab or like an account tab, Lightning record page or like anything like that, but it's a custom Lightning tab. And when I embed that dashboard, it shows all of the users' activities. And when I tried logging in as a user, it also showed everyone's activities. And I was trying to figure out, and I looked, I Googled, and I couldn't find the correct filter that I would need. I know it's a long, complicated question. Maybe I wasn't the best one to start off with.
Well, no. You're good, because I think the underlying questions, and you may have already answered it, that we want to go back to is, so when you log in as another user, you're still seeing all tasks?
Correct.
Have you gone through sharing settings on the objects to ensure that they aren't public?
Yep, so I have a regular Salesforce dashboard above that one, just to compare. And then the regular Salesforce dashboard, they can only see what they're allowed to see. But then for the Einstein one, it shows like everyone's tasks, you know.
Can I ask a really
on
maybe
opportunities
an
and
obvious
accounts.
question, but if they go to a record, can they can still see all the activities? It just happens that the dashboard's filtering for theirs.
They can't even go, they can't go to an account or an opportunity that is not theirs.
Huh.
Yeah.
Does
Because we have role hierarchy,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe activities are different. I don't know.
no activities activities absolutely adopt
Mm-hmm.
the sharing settings of whatever object they're linked to. That's one of the for all of the things that activities are kind of limited on. That's actually one of the beautiful components of them, is that they natively adopt that. What I'm wondering is, and this is me asking a naive question for anybody else in the group, does Einstein have its own sharing protocols?
Yeah. So hey guys, this is Kiran. I'm a tech lead at Red Hat.
Hey.
We are actually trying to use Einstein Analytics as well internally. So we're trying to set it up, and it seems like Einstein Analytics, for us at least, it actually uses a license and a user that actually pulls all the data into an external database on which the Wave platform is actually writes the queries upon, right? So at least for us, when we actually pull all the data is visible to all the data is visible to the user that we are actually letting them access. And once I actually build that canvas and put it somewhere in the Salesforce, then it would actually pull all the data back from Wave database into and display that into the custom tab or whatever that is, right? And if I understand the question right, how can we actually limit that data or information to the currently logged in user? I haven't gotten there yet, but a quick search on the Google suggested this article. You might have already looked at it, but I just want to make sure that you have tried filtering the current, the ownership of the records to match up to the currently logged in user ID to filter the data further.
So I just want to make sure, can everybody see my screen with the Stack Exchange article that Karen's talking about?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, there is some really unique permissioning and provisioning rules about Einstein Analytics. It no longer is paying attention to the role hierarchy. It's a new data set entirely. But you
That's
should
right.
be able to get there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. It's a entire different database altogether that totally ignores the Salesforce security because it's a totally different platform.
So from what I understand for Einstein, you can do role hierarchy security or you can do security predicates.
Right.
But this is like an out of the box one, so I don't think I can access what I need to access to even set that. So I was thinking it's an out of box one. It should just work.
Well, it does work as designed, right?
It just might not be designed like correctly or adequately.
So
So
when
then
you
I
said you
tried.
can set up the Einstein to follow the security predicates from Salesforce, is there a setting that Einstein Analytics let you turn on to actually inherit the sharing from Salesforce org into the Wave Analytics database? Because I haven't come across that. So maybe that may be useful for me to know.
Yeah, so we do have some other security predicates on some other data sets, but that's from external data. So I even tried logging in as a user just to Einstein Analytics, like the actual app, and they can see all of activities as well. So then I think I'm missing something. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most important piece is that never assume that anything that's been pulled to analytics has a security model at all. It is supposed to be a data lake of unfettered data, and then going from there, building those predicates to make sure that you're getting the right analysis is important. I feel like two things. So the articles that are available in the documentation do an okay job, and I thought I just saw something with the most recent release about predicates, like updates to predicates. Does that ring a bell for anybody?
No.
I'm gonna look right now to see if I can find it.
Yeah, but I was thinking that maybe the predicates might not matter if you're logging into Einstein Analytics directly or accessing the app directly as a user.
Say more.
But maybe I could be wrong. I don't know.
Say more about what you were thinking.
So if a user goes to Einstein Analytics, the app, they can see everyone's activity. So I'm thinking there's probably a setting that I am not aware of, because I can't even get to the data set for the activity one because it's a out of box one.
Yeah.
So I can't even get there. So that's why I'm thinking there's another setting somewhere that I don't know.
So when you pull the data set, there must have been some criteria that you pull the data set on, right? Let's say if it is a list of opportunities. So when you build that dashboard, would the out of the box dashboard let you give you the access to the source in the sense the SQL or whatever that they're actually used to pull the information from Salesforce for that particular data set? So
so for the activities data set, that comes out of box from Salesforce where they built this nice dashboard. I try to open or edit the data set and it says I didn't have permission. So I couldn't even get down to that level. That's why I'm thinking it's probably somewhere else.
I see. Yeah, had it been a custom one, I'm seeing some articles where you could actually go into the little wizard where they would expose the SQL, and you could actually add additional filter that says logged in user is equal to owner ID or something like that. But yeah,
I couldn't get there. Maybe I shouldn't have tackled this on a Friday.
check if this is useful for you. So this is something that I found very relevant to your use case, except this is a standard custom developed data set and a dashboard in Einstein Analytics.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I don't want to take up any more time.
As always, if you find any answers and you want to post them in the success group, I'm sure people will be interested in hearing what you learned.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
You bet. All right, looks like top of the list is Marty.
Hi, this is Marty. I think I might
Hi, Marty.
I might agree with that tackling on a Friday thing, particularly this week. So this is my dilemma. I created a button, put it on my case list view page, and I wanted to be able to close multiple cases. So if I click and select a case, everything works fine. But when I select multiple cases, it doesn't. I can show this because I have it in a demo system if that would be easier.
Marty, do you have multiple record types?
Good question. Do I have multiple record types? I don't think so, but let me confirm that that is true. Correct. No, I do not have multiple record types.
Oh, good.
So I can show it here, share this screen. Okay, can everyone see my open case screen here?
Sure can.
Yeah.
So if I click on one case, this is, as I said, this is just a demo system, so it's fake data. So I have closed, and I put this in to make sure, I don't know if anyone's noticed this, but I think since the last release in Lightning, things have been happening a little slower. So I say closed, and 1201 goes away. Everything nice. Now I click 2, and I click close case. Again, status, and I put in something, and I say save. And it's not updating the closed field. I say okay. And they're still there.
If you refresh this window, are they still there? If you just refresh
They
the
were
list view?
before. Let's double check. Yeah, they're still there. And I notice, so when I do this, do closed case, so it shows closed and this field. And when I do this, and I click closed, it's saying, it's like it's ignoring this closed.
So if you repick closed, even though it's already selected,
Oh, good question. All right.
because I'm wondering if it doesn't know how to display maybe multiple different types of statuses or engineering requirements. I don't know if that's like, see, it doesn't see.
Update 2 records, and see, it's still choosing this one.
But it's a different result than before,
Yep,
right?
it is, yep. But it still didn't close them.
So
and I wonder if
you
closing, go ahead.
If you go into 132 or 332, the one at the top,
Yep.
and you look at the field history, do you have any, has anything, I don't know if you have the field history, under the related list, if you have the field history visible or not, or case history.
Yeah, I do.
And
So this is today at 11:19.
11:18, 11:19. And so it looks like it's, yeah, something's changing. So there's something going on here.
It's changing it and
it's doing something
it.
and changing it back.
That's weird. Okay.
Is there a validation rule? Is there an automation? Is there?
No, this is my basic demo system, but I'll check all those things. Thank you. Okay. I'll check those things and let you know.
I love cases, and I wish this would work easier for you.
Yeah. All right. I wish everything would work easier. Okay. Been a long week. Thank you, everybody.
bet. Let's see here. Let's go to Anu, I believe, was up next.
Yes. Hello, hi everybody. My name is Anu. Can everybody hear me?
We can.
Yes.
Awesome. I did post my question yesterday on the community group too, but I'm happy to go over it again. Can I share my screen? I have a small deck or just a small one single slide that I want to share.
Yes, please.
Okay.
And just so you know, I have your question pulled up here as well as Brendan's feedback or comment as well. So go for it.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, the use case is I have sales reps, so they're asking me to have the tasks available, tasks, notes, and attachments, and there's also a meeting object, which is a lookup to different other objects like account, financial account, household, and opportunity. So their ask is to pretty much have any task that is created from account object that should be viewable under household, financial accounts, and opportunity too, and vice versa. Meaning anything is created from any object, it should be viewable by them. Maybe sorted by a date or something like that, but pretty much it should be, every task should be viewable from every other object which are related. And it should, same thing when they want to do it for notes and attachments and for meetings. This is the use case. I came up with some sort of a solution, but I think it will require code. I'm happy to go over it, but if somebody has some other suggestion, that would be great.
So here's my question. Why? Why do all of the tasks and why do all of the notes and attachments need to be viewed at all of the related object levels?
Yeah, that's a good question. So basically, I'm in finance industry, so everything works at a household level, meaning a household can have different household members, which are pretty much, accounts. And accounts, these are actually not accounts. We have a person account model, so it's actually a contact.
Mm-hmm.
So they pretty much want to see, they just want to open one single record from one household and have everything be viewable from everywhere else at one single place, so that they don't have to navigate to different places and see what under a different financial account what did they do, and under an opportunity what did they do, and under a client what happened last time.
So really, it's just this is where Salesforce sometimes gets put down a bad path. You've already had to devise a potentially coded solution that gets you around the intended out-of-the-box purposes of tasks and notes and attachments. I definitely wouldn't advise coding something up if it's just simply we want to have fewer clicks. Are you in Lightning?
Yes.
Have you played around at all with any Lightning components that rather than forcing a whole bunch of relationships between objects that just create a whole massive amount of technical debt, have you created any Lightning components that might surface the child level activities up through a simple query or a report? Have you played around with reports at all that might be accessible through the Lightning page?
Yeah, reports definitely have played around a lot, but not the Lightning components. Would that help me pretty much view a child record from an object which is not related? Meaning, a task created on account, would that be viewable under household?
I mean,
Squire,
yeah.
This is Stuart. I also have, so I just did this. I just finished it this morning. I have an org where they wanted to see activities on actually a custom object that was based on an account. The answer, it doesn't have to be that complicated. We created a report, an activity report and we created a custom link, just a custom button from the record page that called that activity report and then showed it on the page. It's really, really simple to do. And you can also feed it variables. So if you want to say, I only want to show, this year's activities or this month's activities, you can feed it those variables as well.
Okay.
And none of it is custom code. It's all out of the box Salesforce.
It's URL re-engineering. I'm not going to say hack, but it's re-engineering.
No, it's not a URL hack. They fully allow it. It's a custom button.
Mm.
Yeah. With the most recent release, right?
Pretty much
from
Ah.
So you just have a link to the report, and you just have a report for all the activities for all the related items, right?
Yeah.
On that link.
That's right.
Is that my understanding?
You'd have to build the report to support the object structure first, but then to your point, Stu, it waits for the button to be hit, pass in whatever variables, and then it runs. You're setting up the framework and it waits for the variables.
And you have one common, your common denominator here is you have an account. These are all pointing to account. So at some point in time, you're going to say a common account ID. So show me all activities on this account between start date and end date.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as the related to, okay, you could, I guess I'm assuming some things here based on this diagram that I'm seeing that may not be true, but.
Theoretically though, Stu, what Stu is saying, 100%, theoretically.
If I can kind of give you the opposite end of that spectrum, Anu, we, about 3 years ago, we're in financial services as well, implemented a way to let every activity connect to all of its children and parents. It was not recommended, but we did it. And within a very short amount of time, we had several million records in the system. And what is happening is, underneath the covers, if you multi-relate a task to multiple contacts, you started getting exponential combinations of that task to different objects, and you had to create effectively a joiner to make it connect everywhere and be active. So I think if I understood what you were saying, if I'm at a household, I want to see activities and maybe create some. And if I'm at an opportunity, I want to be able to see activities and create some. And by making this kind of super nested activity tree, you lose not only the features that are baked in, but you actually kind of can create a mess that you can't get rid of. So, I feel like if you can come up with a way, I think Dale was right on, ask more whys. But I think if you can come up with a good use case of just reporting these summaries where you want to see them versus having to aggregate all the activity, you'll be better off.
Because I can only imagine.
Yeah, that would work for tasks and meetings, which are lookup, but the use cases, they also want to do it for notes and attachment, because they also have a lot of attachments that they're attaching to the accounts and financial accounts, and that should be viewable from everywhere else. Notes and attachments, I believe, is not at all customizable, and it's not related. It's a related list on each object, but it doesn't have any relationship.
Yeah.
Well, there actually is a relationship record that connects the document to the record, but they're also difficult to manage, and you can end up with getting kind of a Cartesian output by trying to replicate it to all the children.
There is an answer to that one.
To which one?
To the notes, or sorry, to the attachments. Sorry, I'm going to use the word files.
Yeah.
I am going to post something in chat here. My friend Douglas Ayers.
Let's back this one up, Stu.
Yeah.
Doug Ayers is everyone's friend. You've heard of Salesforce.
I like to say my personal friend, Doug. has helped me through, and like hundreds of other people through this problem. I put a link to something that he helped build. It's way at the bottom of this. Well, no, not way at the bottom. It is. It's a little bit down, but the section is called "View Salesforce Files of Related Records," and it talks about this problem in Lightning, where files specifically out of the box don't roll up to the parent. This little component that he's already created, it's free, does this. It will show you all the files that are related to children of the account parent. You don't have to build this. It's already there.
Pretty cool.
Cool. Okay.
So we'll put this link in the deck that we'll share out later. But yeah, people like Doug, Andy Fawcett, several others out there that now are actually employed by Salesforce have gone above and beyond to develop these kinds of things and then just make them freely available. Andy Fawcett, declarative lookup, rollup summary. Absolutely, these can be your best friends.
Hi, this is Jade. I missed the first part of the question, but was it reporting on files and notes?
No, it was how to relate either tasks or notes and attachments to all of the records in a parent or in a child, parent, grandparent relationship, being able to get to all those lowest level ones from higher level objects. The solution that we suggested was reporting and passing in some of those relationships, or one of the solutions, I should say.
Okay, because that's what I had been working on too, was trying to get opportunities, accounts with all the tasks and emails and notes.
Gotcha.
One big report. So what I ended up doing is I couldn't report on notes. That was just too hard.
Yep.
And there weren't enough fields for me that are exposed to even do it. So I went to the feed. So I can report, you know, in my report, I have the subject of the note because it's in the feed, but I don't have the body of the note, which I guess is fine. And then I have all the tasks and the comments and all that. So that's why I was asking what the question was. It's a struggle.
No, absolutely. Because I mean, they may be different, but they have a common relation. So no, you're good.
Unfortunately, I think we just made it worse for you, but I think there's definitely some tough questions to answer before you jump into it.
Always ask why.
Yeah, Dale, if you don't mind, can I share my screen again? I have a solution which I wanted to run by all of you and see if it is even possible to go.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, I was working on the solution. So pretty much I have some sort of a record identifier which I can tie to all of these related objects. Okay, and I was thinking maybe if I can dump every single task or notes and attachments from each of these objects into another custom object which is not at all related to any of these objects, and then maybe create some sort of a visual force page. I'm not a developer, so I don't even know how that works. So maybe just replace the notes and attachment section on suppose client section record with the the notes and attachment section from the custom object, which will have pretty much everything. Is that even possible? Does it make sense what I'm trying to achieve?
Yeah, Stuart here again. Sorry, it sort of does at a high level. Here's one, and I love. Sorry, business analyst in action. I poke out potential issues. If this works, 3 years from now or more, there will be some feature that Salesforce will introduce for tasks, notes, and attachments that your users or the org that you're putting this in for are going to say, we need that. Or some mobile thing or something. And it's going to conflict with this customization that you've done. So I really encourage that if you're going to replace a native activity, a native thing with something that's custom that basically does the same thing, that you really think about what's the future of that customization.
Makes sense. Okay, but you're saying this is possible, right? I mean, I just have to give all the possible solutions, and it's for the management to decide.
All things are possible. I mean, the code base is there, the functionality is there, the Visualforce and Lightning components are there. The why is going to be the real reason. I mean,
right.
It's not whether you can, it's whether you should, I think, is the real question.
Exactly. And even when I see this diagram, so it helped me understand, you've got onboarding, so opportunity is your ultimate parent, and then you have an onboarding object, and then under that, onboarding financial account 1, 2, and 3. Are those 3 separate relationship paths, or are you just giving an example of a one-to-many?
Yes, actually, this doesn't apply to our discussion right now because
okay.
So what's happening, you know, they start off with an opportunity and they create an onboarding record, and the onboarding record will have, you know, separate financial accounts. And this is done in Salesforce. And once this is all approved, they don't create the actual financial accounts in Salesforce. It
Gotcha.
gets fed from an external source. And then I am linking the financial accounts created from external source with the onboarding financial accounts that was, you know, used for approval. So
Gotcha.
I guess our discussion is related to this area where I want to see all task notes and attachments being, you know, be able to be viewed from everywhere else. But the point was, I can tie them up, all of them up with the record identifier.
Gotcha.
Okay. I think I got my answers. I guess I just have to ask a lot of questions to my team.
No problem. So really quickly,
all right, thank you.
Yeah. So really quickly before we move on to the next question, so I want to call out Anu actually posted this in the Success community yesterday. This is always here for offline conversations or to get extra help. Brendan Conroy, MVP, jumped in and helped give a little bit of guidance, whatever. This group is always here. If you haven't already joined, please do. I will say it's we're kind of having an embarrassment of riches of questions and everything today. Otherwise, this would be a great fallback for us to say, hey, can we get any questions from here? But just so that everybody knows, you can absolutely go here and someone will answer it, whether it's offline or during this call. All right, I'm gonna shut up now.
Let's see here. So why don't we jump over the text really quick, just because I've kind of lost track of who got here first. Lizelle, if I'm saying that correctly, if you're on, do you want to verbalize or should we read your post?
Oh yeah, no, I was just wondering, just with the recent, oh hi, I'm sorry, this is Lizelle here. I had a question about lead conversion. I know with one of the recent updates during lead conversion, only one account record type would be shown, but now I'm seeing multiple options, and I know we have the default, but I'm trying to prompt people to only select one record type, and and kind of add a roadblock, if that makes sense.
So
I can share my screen if that helps.
Absolutely.
Always.
Okay. Appreciate that. Let me go ahead and do that.
Because I'm also thinking, just like Stu, I'm a professional BA, so my head goes to some of the things and I'm already trying to solution, but I should probably see what you're doing first.
Okay. So the default that we have is going to be prospect, but I've noticed during some of the conversions, people are automatically selecting other record types. And just because of other business processes that kick off during it, we want to make sure people choose, I guess, prospect. as a record type and I don't know how to do it. I was assuming that I would do it through a validation rule, and my validation rule isn't working. And I'm just confused. So
the first question is the users that that have the ability to see all these record types. By business process, should they have the ability to create accounts of all of those record types?
Yes.
Okay, so got it. Then there's no way to hide that here on this version. So if the validation rule isn't working, have you tried a workflow rule or process builder, whatever automation you're in, to enforce the record type to prospect when all is said and done after the conversion?
Yeah, I did a process builder to that. So if someone were to select, for example, household client entity, that it would automatically change the record type to prospect. But I showed that to my boss, and he said that he didn't want that because users might be confused. And in certain scenarios where they really should be selecting that particular record type, we want to allow that, whatever that means, which I know is very, now that I think about it, it's kind of conflicting with what I was told. But I did a process builder for that, and they didn't like that. They told me to do a validation rule.
So so you put the validation rule in the chat, right? Is that
yeah.
Okay.
And then this is kind of that.
Okay. Oh, we have, okay. So is converted equals true. So Squire, I have on my other screen anybody, I shouldn't pinpoint to Squire, but the order of execution.
Yeah.
Where does conversion actually fall?
A great question. And I think what I'm already seeing too, that I think is going to be a problem is this is a validation on lead, but you're talking about a validation on the account, the resulting account. So I don't think this is going to help you anyway.
Oh.
Yep. Good call.
So you're going to want to do something on the account validation that's trying to save, but I don't know if that's going to work either, because I don't know where that's working. So I'm gonna look that up to your question, Dale.
So I'm also going to call out, not only is it lead, but you're using developer name, which household space dash space client, that's not going to hold up. Developer name is going to fall in line with the replacing spaces with underscores and dashes. So, and there's a very easy way to query what is the developer name. You can do it in Dev Console or do a data loader export or Workbench or whatever. But that naming scheme right there is not going to pick up on developer name. Developer name is definitely the safer, between it and name, developer name is the safer way to go because it's unique, but that naming convention won't fly. Now, what I would suggest, though, and this may go back to Squire researching order of execution, is I never need to remember it until it's, your guns to your head. Is there a converted from lead field on the account object that you could leverage whether or not it's populated?
Lead, okay. Let me think about that. I'm going to say, I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to say I don't think, okay.
Does that make sense?
So I'm thinking, is it creating a field that I can reference in this validation?
No, I'm wondering if there's a field natively, because on the lead object, when a lead's converted, it automatically updates the lead with the account ID it was converted to, the contact ID, and if checked, the opportunity ID. Trying to remember if the same applies on account or contact or opportunity to say, I was converted from lead ID.
Oh, let me go. Okay, that gives me another thing to work on. Okay.
Because
I appreciate that.
And if not, plan B, which I have done in the past, is you can just set up checkbox fields. on both the lead and account and or contact and or opportunity, map those two fields to each other, keep them true in the background so that true maps to true, and then you can potentially leverage that in your account validation rule.
Oh,
say,
I love that.
Oh yeah, it
okay.
came from a lead. That might be your simplest way, honestly, is just
oh,
do a
no,
check
that
to a
totally
check.
makes sense. I did something similar for something else. Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Dale?
Yeah.
Dumb question here.
No.
Can you replace the lead conversion, I'm assuming it's a button, with a quick action?
No.
Oh.
Because is converted, you can't manipulate the is converted field without code, and I don't even know that code can manipulate that, because you get some other goodies with that native is converted field, but you can't.
Yeah, Salesforce has some APIs that they exposed that they would use to convert a lead. You could call during the code that checks that checkbox.
Okay.
No, it's a good thought. I would have gone to the same
I was just
place,
like,
but it hadn't burned me in the past.
Maybe you could just create your own quick action that defaults all that data you don't want the users to input, but you can't do that.
Come on, Stu, the simplest possible solution? You think that? Come on. We got to overcomplicate this.
I know.
Awesome stuff, guys and gals. Brianna, I know you've been waiting a while. Let's jump to you really quick.
Awesome. Thanks. So I am finally having some time to get in and play with Flow.
Woo!
And I think the flow is working, although if you see anything terrible, let me know, because I'm sure there's best practices that I'm not yet aware of. Let's see, this guy here. But I realized after the fact that because I'm replacing basically a quick action or like a create new account, that I have to put all my validation rules on so we don't get bad data. And none of them are working. And I don't know, well, one of them's working, the simplest one, but I don't know if it's because I'm trying to validate something within the same screen and it just doesn't want to do that. I did realize earlier that the validation rules work opposite in Flow, which was really helpful. So then I thought, oh, cool, I just have to, oh, they're over here. I just have to reverse my true and false, but that didn't fix it. They still are unhappy and I don't know why.
So you're not committing any
real pain. So I'm curious to see where we go with this.
Well, it's also important to remember that with a screen, you're not committing anything to a database for a validation rule to actually try and fire.
Yeah. So I guess
really
is that
input validation? It's not a data validation.
It's a microprocess validation. Or yeah.
Yeah. So I guess I'm just trying to process. I'm trying to validate the data they're inputting on that screen. Is that possible?
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to be doing, right?
Yes,
So it's not about saving it. It's about did I type this in to look like a phone number? Did I pick a yeah? So that's right.
I am fairly certain. So this is one of them. I'm fairly certain the regex is right because it's what I've been using in my, and I think I also copied it directly from a Salesforce regex suggestion. And it's what I've been using in my validation rules when people create new accounts not in Flow. But it doesn't, if I choose US and only put in 5 digits, it seems to fire no matter what.
Yeah. So I wasn't aware that you had to write this with a true false return. I thought it just evaluated and gave you a true false. So because you wrote a formula to try to return a true false, and then you're using that as the validation. Is that right?
Yes.
I'll be honest. So I haven't played with Flow since validations were implemented. I'll be honest there. I always just went with tried and true decisions, where you then evaluate variables that come from the screens. Because if there are any nuances like a traditional Excel formula field here versus not in this, to me, that felt like the safer place to go through and evaluate. It also allows you to split out your ores. But that's just me.
So if, yeah, I agree. The one problem with that in my experience is that you start getting into kind of this infinite loop of why can't I save this? You know, I don't really know why. If I could take a really quick second on this validation specifically. So if I'm reading this correctly, you're basically saying if the country is US, or if the zip code is in that form, if either of those are true, then this is true, otherwise false.
Well, hold on. It's if the country is not US.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, not US. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, because we only care about formatting US zip codes.
So you want this to throw an error if it's a US zip code, right?
If it's a US zip code and it's not formatted correctly, yes.
So you're saying, so I'm just trying to, like, I always like to write these as a sentence and then build it out, because sometimes you end up tricking yourself with the ors and the returns into
right.
the other way around, right? So right now, so let's see, am I US? Yes. So then it's true. Am I in that format?
No. If you're US, you bypass.
Oh yeah, sorry. Sorry, I keep thinking, sorry, you said that it's not. So if I'm not US, that's true. And then the postal code, if that could be true or false as well. So I'm just wondering if you could write this without the if statement. Can you just say physical country, not equal to US, or regex of that, just as the formula, as the validation? Because that's all you're checking is if either of those is true, then the whole thing is true.
Right.
And I don't think you can do it from the formula builder. I think you actually have to do it in the input validation. But I think that's all you don't have to build like the super nesting. You can just say check one, bar, check the other, and then you're going to say if either of these is true, then the whole thing's true. Move forward.
And also, isn't that, I thought I heard you want this validation to trigger only if the country is US and the zip code is not formatted, right? I think then shouldn't it be like physical country is equal to US?
And instead of an or, it's an and.
And regex is equal to so and so.
Yeah, I had that initially. I tried a version where I was saying either the physical country is not US or it is US and the format's correct, but then it seemed like that was kind of unnecessary. But yeah, I mean, potentially I could try that again also. And I can't, I'm sorry, I'm not sure who was recommended this, but was someone recommending that I put this formula directly in the screen validation instead of having it as its own resource?
You can. You don't have to do it that way.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was a recommendation because I was like, I read earlier that I should do it this way, and that might help.
I mean, I think whatever makes it easiest to read and debug is the best part for you. But yeah. I do know that I shouldn't say no. The most validations and whether it's input validation or validation rules, you don't have to tell it to determine if I'm true or false. It's already doing that.
Right. That makes sense.
Which sometimes that's where you get, like, you end up writing an or an and that it's already doing that anyway, and so you end up reversing it on yourself. So if US is not, if it's not US, or if the regex is in that format, that's going to give you a true. Cool. All right. I mean, that may work, but but before you say that may only work in the input. You might not be able to get this to save as a formula because it's not really a formula. Well, it is a formula, I guess. But
yeah, that's a good point. Okay, well, I shall try.
The other thing I'll offer is it could be the regex itself. If you only check for regex and nothing else, does it work?
Yeah. Oh, so that's, I guess, another question I had about this, which is, well, so I am fairly certain that the regex is correct because it's what I use in other places, but I tried to create just like a checkbox formula in, like on a random object so that I could check if it was returning what I thought it should be. But you can't use regex in a formula checkbox, I think. I was getting an error on that. So I don't know if there's like another good tool so I can check like, is the formula itself correct or is it a flow issue? I was struggling to find something that was allowing me to get that information.
Well, I mean, if you just have the validation on a field, you'll be able to test without the checkbox because you're checking for validation.
Yeah, so I guess in that case, I know the regex works because I copied and pasted it from my existing validation that works.
Okay.
So, all right. Well, I will try that and see if it makes any difference.
And anybody else that's on the call, I'm sure, can echo that there is nothing more frustrating than what should be as simple as a validation rule. Like, I know what I wanted to do, but you write the darn thing 100 different ways until it sticks. It just never seems to work right the first time. So it could be one of those ones where you save it and walk away from it and start again with a fresh eye. Or pair, do you have another teammate that would just be able to look over your shoulder and eyeball it? Sometimes that's all it takes too.
Yeah, I don't, unfortunately, but I will keep trying and I will post again if I still can't get it. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck. Please let us know. Again, people want to know if it worked out, so let us know if you figured it out.
Yes, will do.
Cool. Okay, let's go to Weipeng. If I'm saying that right, I'm sorry if I didn't. Weipeng, are you still there? We are not hearing you, but it looks like you're off mute, so.
You might need to unmute your device.
Yeah, it looks like the speaker's on, but the mic is not. Okay. Let's see here. Weipeng, we're not hearing you, but I'll just read the question just to get everybody up to speed, and then we'll just try to give you what we can, okay? And then if you keep trying, we'll let you know when we hear you. I want to create a service report layout in the case. I hope in addition to case number information, the service reports can be automatically populated, the case subject, and the case description, and the fields are still editable in service report. I'm thinking about to create new fields in the service report and make it a formula to connect it with the corresponding case or field. Is there any other better method? Oh boy, we definitely are going to need you for this. Unless someone speaks case super well, Joy.
No, I think we're going to need a little bit more info.
Oh boy. All right.
So it's just.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It looks like a report layout with the case information, with subject and description, and the fields that are still editable. I think you're looking for a list view here, not a report. Yeah, I don't think I quite understand what's going on. So screen share might be more what we're gonna need.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Weipeng. If you could keep trying, or if you want to disconnect and reconnect, maybe it's just the auto connection. We'd love to talk to you about it. Unfortunately,
right. But I think the best way to keep things editable is to, create this report as a list view, and then, just make that, inline editing from the list view.
Yeah, and Joy, I forget those long text fields don't list view very well.
No, they don't. And so there's a possibility that you could, I wouldn't advise it, but creating like a formula that would truncate that, but I think that's excessive and duplicitous. So you might not be able to use the long description, but if there is like somehow a smaller general description, like if it's it's a bug or if it's a feature request or if it's a, you know, a consumer request or a business request, you know, different types of cases, like I guess a pick list field that might summarize that description a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, we've done
that instead.
Where you take the first 100 or 253 characters off of the task body so you can actually show it in a related list.
Right. And so I wouldn't necessarily use a formula, or I don't know the best way you want to approach that, because it's messy and it just adds so much.
Sure. And Stuart does bring up a good point. Wai-Peng, is this field service Lightning that you're referencing? If you don't mind texting at least that, so we can kind of direct you a little bit.
If it is, and we want to talk about it, I'd be happy to look at it on the community. If we want to talk about it more on the community success site, I can try and help there.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me now?
Oh, we can.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I should be more prepared. Yeah. Thank you so much. This is about Classic right now, but maybe the Lightning can do this function very well. I was actually talking about the layout. Can I share my screen really quick? I know we are running out of time.
Yeah, no, absolutely, please.
Okay.
Yeah, we are over.
So I'm still I'm still in the transition from Classic to Lightning, but what I'm trying to do is not about the report. It's more about the service report in our case. So this is a case of engineer, whoever does anything, need to fill a service report. I was hoping to populate some fields from the case, just like the case number by default, as Salesforce.com is doing. For example, I'm hoping the service report name can auto-populate the case subject, and also auto-populate case description, which is also a default field in case. I have been doing similar things like this by creating a field and make it as a formula to equal or pull up the text from the other field in another object. I do create a lot of new fields, but I want to check with you guys if that's the most clean way or optimal way to do it, or I'm missing some awesome function in Salesforce.com I should use. So they're more intuitive using the same field name. So that's my question in a layout.
Sure.
Connecting different, objects.
Yeah, you definitely are missing a great opportunity to build what is a record action, and then you can auto-populate fields there.
I see.
So are you familiar with Lightning record actions?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
So I'll record and then can do more research. Can you repeat the name one more time?
Sure. So if you create a record action in Lightning, a custom record action, what you'll be able to do is have that button on a case, create a new customer service report. But when you do that, you'll have a custom layout and a series of fields where you can auto-populate or predefine values, whether it's a relationship value or a string value or what have you. You can customize the entire the next page effectively, including all related fields, which may be able to address that need. So yeah, a Lightning record action would be the way to go.
Okay, thank you.
Squire, that was exactly what I was going to say. And you can replace the new button here if it's upon creation, or you could say, you could name it something new pre-filled or new something to make it easier, because sometimes you might not want everything to be pre-filled, and so you want to make sure you have that flexibility if it's needed. If it's not needed, by all means replace it.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's another function that would be great, because we may not need everything from that record. Thank you. That really helps. I'll do more research. Thank you.
And then I think the last one we have is Sarah, but we are at 2:05.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have to drop off. Aaron left a message as a question as well. Oh, thank you, Sarah. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, Sarah, repost in the Success community, and then one of us or one of our followers can chime in on that maybe. Excellent. I'm so glad that everyone was able to join us today. Squire, this has been amazing.
Can we do that too, please? I think this is a really straightforward answer for you. So if you would post that in the Success as well. Cool.
All right, Aaron, thanks so much. All right, thanks everybody.
Great meeting, everyone. Thanks for joining us and for holding on.
Yeah, happy Friday. Bye.
Bye, all.